If you're spending too much time and money qualifying leads, you're not alone. In fact, it's one of the most common bottlenecks that I see businesses face. And I've built AI systems across industries, from personal finance all the way to healthcare, to deal with these exact types of problems. And one thing that I've learned is that there is a right way to use AI for this. So in this video, I'll show you two simple metrics that will help you qualify your leads more reliably and accurately, so you can stop wasting time on bad fits and focus your energy on the ones that actually drive revenue. And by the way, these two metrics that we're going to cover, we're going to apply in this lead qualification context, but honestly, it is applicable for any type of categorization issue. So you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about as soon as we dive into the example. So let's say that in your business, your salespeople are telling you that half of the leads that are coming in through your funnel are complete garbage. They lead to nowhere, they're not qualified at all, and they're just wasting your sales team's time. So you decide to start qualifying these leads. And the easiest way to do that is to set up a form on your website asking for a bunch of information from these leads to see if they are a good fit to work with your company. Another way is to hire a setter, but that is obviously a much more expensive route to just qualify leads for you. So jumping over to the computer, and now you're going to have a database of leads, and you're going to ask these leads a handful of questions. Maybe you're going to ask them their email, phone number, name of the company, how many people are in the company, and other qualifying questions if you want. And here it's only if you want to really go deep into using AI and getting a lot of data from these leads, you can ask broad questions like these ones that we have listed over here. And in these questions that I wrote over here, I was assuming that you are a marketing agency, so that's why these are tailored like this. So one question could be, walk me through how you currently attract and convert new clients, or the other one is what's been working well so far and what's not delivering like you hoped. And the third one is, why are you exploring marketing support right now? Now, obviously, the more questions that you add on this form, the more friction that you add between the lead actually finding you and booking a call with you. Another way of finding a lot of really good pieces of information is to create a AI researcher in the background, which I've already covered in the channel. So if you want, you can just go ahead and click on the link that's popping up right over there to see that AI researcher that I've set up. And to be honest, it's a really nice solution because as soon as you get an email or a company name, you can go ahead and do research on LinkedIn, on the company's website, and figure out a lot of the pieces of information that you will need on a sales call. So with all of this information over here, you're going to determine if these leads are either good or bad. Now, there's two parts of doing this. When you are qualifying leads, one, you're actively spending time qualifying these leads. So let's say that it takes 10 minutes to qualify a lead and you get roughly 12 leads per day. You're spending 2 hours per day qualifying leads. And this is time that your salespeople are going to need to spend qualifying these leads. So let's say if you're paying these salespeople around $50 an hour, you're spending $100 here for them to qualify leads. But the real cost actually happens when you look at the opportunity cost of what they could be doing with these 2 hours. They could be closing deals with these 2 hours. So if we scroll down here and we assume the same numbers, 10 minutes to qualify a lead and 12 leads per day, with an average close rate of 25%, which is not insane, and an average deal size of $6,000, you're literally paying $24,000 a week for your sales team to qualify leads. And these $24,000 a week are in potential earnings that you're just leaving out of the table, assuming that each discovery call takes about 30 minutes. Now, those are ridiculous numbers, and I just wanted to put them over here because this is exactly what's happening in businesses right away. When you implement a new process, you're just taking away what that time could be used for. And especially for salespeople, they should be optimizing their time for closes, not for qualification, not for researching leads, not for anything else but closes. So I just wanted to put these numbers over here, the $24,000 a week and the 2 hours a day, just to estimate the amount of opportunity cost that could be left on the table, or the amount of potential revenue that could be left on the table here if you decide to have your sales team do this on their own. Now, if you decide to implement AI here, there is a couple different things that you could do. The simplest way to go forward is to set up a prompt that as soon as you get a lead coming in, it automatically analyzes that lead and gives you an answer saying that if it's either a good lead or a bad lead. Okay, now let's assume that 50% of your leads are good and 50% of your leads are bad, which, assuming from the numbers that we had before of 12 leads per day, you're going to get 60 different leads on a given week. 30 of which are going to be good, 30 of which are going to be bad. Now, as soon as you implement your AI into this process, the first time that you run it, you realize that you're getting 34 good leads and 26 bad leads. Now, this could be you had a good week. You had a week where you had a little bit more good leads than bad leads. Are you going to discard this right away? No, you're going to look at these numbers and you're going to be like, okay, I thought that there were going to be 30 bad leads and 30 good leads, which means that only 4 of these leads got qualified in the wrong category. So 4 out of 60 is honestly not a big number. It's going to be around 6 to 7%, which means that your accuracy is around 93%. Now, is that correct? No, it's not. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. And by the way, I know that I might have gone a little bit quickly on this math. What I'm trying to say here is that if you have only 4 leads that were qualified in the wrong category, it means that you have 56 leads that were qualified in the right category. So 56 divided by 60, that's where we're getting the 93.333% of accuracy. Now, why do I say that this is not the correct interpretation of these results? Because your AI could say that a lead is good when it's actually bad. Your AI could say a lead is good when it's actually good. Your AI could say a lead is bad when it's actually bad, or that it's bad when it's actually good. So you end up with these 4 potential types of answers in terms of what the AI predicts and what the lead actually is. Which is why this process requires you to have labeled data. And ideally, you just take the past leads that you've had and you get someone to look at it and qualify them as either good or bad. And obviously, I'm just keeping this super simple for the sake of the example, but here you could have multiple categories. You could have a scenario, for example, where you are categorizing these leads into multiple categories, from leads that are ready to buy, leads that are skeptics, explorers, or frustrated. And the way that you can categorize these is just dependent on how much information that you have from them. And if you have like a categorization that looks like this, the process will be pretty much the same, but the calculations at the end will be a little bit different. And this is actually a really good way of setting it up as well, because you can automatically set up a chain of emails that is directed to a specific type of category. So let's say you have a lead that's ready to go, and these are leads that are actively looking for ways to scale. You can send them an email that's saying, let's pure fuel on what's already working, and so on and so forth. But I don't want to deviate from the subject too much and go into all of this stuff that I was calculating before. So let's get back to the main thing. All right, so this brings us to the confusion matrix, which is this table right here. Let's zoom in on it so we can focus it only on this. So when you get someone in your team to actually verify the AI results to see if the AI accurately predicted the leads that are good as good and the leads that are bad as bad, this is what you get. And by the way, just to explain this 4x4, over here in the top, we have what the AI predicted, and it can either be good or bad. And here, what your actual person said if that lead is good or bad. So that person ideally will be a salesperson. And by the way, I know that we're talking about the opportunity cost of these salespeople, but just keep in mind that this is something that you'll have to do once when you're doing these tests, given a sample size. And once it's done and you're confirming the accuracy of your system, you don't need to keep doing it right away. If you don't have this set up, you will have your salesperson doing 2 hours a day of work every single day for the rest of their lives. And that's just too much opportunity cost that you just can't leave on the table. So I hope that that makes it clear, and I hope that you guys are seeing the same vision that I am before we go into this. So these are the results that your salesperson gets back to you with. They individually look at each lead and they tell you that out of those, 30 of them were good and 30 of them were bad, just how you expected. And obviously here I'm keeping numbers really nice and round just for the sake of the calculation. But you know that your AI said that 34 of those leads were good and 26 of those were bad. So when you look into a little bit deeper of what lead was qualified as good or bad, you realize that 25 of the leads that were predicted from the AI as good were actually good, but 9 of them that were predicted as good from your AI are actually bad. So out of these 34, only 25 of them were actually good. Now, when it comes to the predictions of bad, you see that your AI said that 26 leads were bad. 21 out of those 26 were actually bad, meaning that the person who actually audited this process also said that those leads were bad, and only 5 were not bad. Now, you might be seeing these TPFN. What do these actually mean? Well, you probably came across these types of terms at one point or another in your life, but these are true positives, true negatives, false negatives, and false positives. So here we're going to use these acronyms here to just calculate the next things that we have up ahead. So once you have this confusion matrix set up, there are 2 metrics that you need to pay attention to. And these ones are recall and precision. And what are recall and precision? These are the things that it's actually asking in this specific context. Recall is asking, out of the leads that were actually good, how many did we catch? So we know that 30 leads were actually good. We caught 25 out of those 30. And the reality of this calculation is that we calculate the true positives over the total of this entire row. So this would be the true positives over the true positives plus the false negatives. And precision would be when an AI says that we have a good lead, how often is it correct? So here we're looking at the true positives in comparison to the true positives plus the false positives. So here it would be 25 divided by 34. And these are the statistics that we get at the end. Our recall was 83%, meanwhile our precision was 73%, which are vastly different numbers from the 93% that we assumed when we looked at 34 good leads, 26 bad leads. And for the sake of the completeness of the video, to calculate the total accuracy of the system, we need to calculate the number of true positives plus the number of true negatives over the total number of leads qualified in this scenario. So here we have 25 true positives and we have 21 true negatives, and the total number of leads that we qualified was 60, which means that 25 plus 21 divided by 60 is actually 76.66%. This is the real accuracy of this system. Now, here's the thing. All of these numbers are important and you will definitely need to know them at one point or another in order to get really good outputs from your AI systems, but they only matter if you understand how they work. In machine learning systems, which is where I learned about these two concepts in data science in general, there is a notion that precision and recall, they work inversely. So here's where it gets interesting. When recall goes up, precision tends to go down. And when precision goes up, recall tends to go down, which means these two calculations are inversely related. And there is a sweet spot where both of these are maximized, where you're getting the most amount of recall for the most amount of precision. Or in this scenario, the highest recall in terms of percentage have the highest precision in terms of percentage. Because if you stop to think about it, if you want your system to be more precise, meaning that you want your salespeople to only talk to qualified leads and never talk to an unqualified lead, that precision will require the system to be pickier, meaning that it needs to be 100% sure that the lead it's sending to that salesperson is actually qualified. Now, when you want higher recall, that system will be more generous, because the question that we're asking here is, out of the actually good leads, how many did we catch? So it will end up possibly including a couple of unqualified leads, but we know that we are going to send all of the leads that are good through. So it will tend to be a little bit more generous. So here that means that you're trying to maximize for revenue potential, but it also means that your salespeople might be talking to some unqualified people in the process. Which brings us to this interaction over here. If you want to prioritize recall, it means that you're maximizing for your revenue chances, and this makes sure that AI catches all real opportunities and doesn't let any of those real opportunities slip through. And if you want to protect your sales team's time, you need to prioritize precision. And that means that AI should only send the reps the best qualified leads. So here, if you had to pick between one of the two, I would 100% say to prioritize recall, because that means that you're maximizing your revenue chances, and that just makes your salespeople talk to a couple people that are not qualified. Now, if your team is way too overwhelmed and you want to protect their time, go for precision. I would assume most business owners will want to prioritize recall in this scenario. Now, you might be thinking, why would a business owner ever want to prioritize for precision? Well, the thing is, these two metrics are not only used for lead qualification, they're used for any type of categorization issue. So let's take fraud detection at a bank, for example. Let's say that you have an AI analyzing all transactions that are happening at any given moment, and if it identifies a transaction that is fraudulent, it will automatically close someone's account, or maybe stop it temporarily, something along those lines. If the AI is tuned for high recall, it means that it will flag everything that looks suspicious, and it will start closing or temporarily pausing a lot of people's accounts because it's optimizing for not missing any chances. But when this AI is tuned for high precision, it will only close someone's account or pause someone's account when it is 100% sure that that transaction was fraudulent. So that's why in banking, in these scenarios, they would prioritize for precision, because the cost of getting something wrong is much higher than the cost of missing something. After all, with fraudulent transactions, if the customer actually notices, they'll probably notify the bank and request a refund on that same transaction. Now, if the bank says this is a fraudulent transaction and they close your account and it's not a fraudulent transaction, imagine how you would feel. So now that you understand some scenarios where we would prioritize precision over recall, let's talk about how you can prioritize recall in this qualification system. If you are setting up a prompt to analyze these leads that are coming in, try to set up loose logic for good leads and strict logic for bad leads. What does that actually mean? That when you're writing your prompt and instructing how to evaluate each lead, you're going to use or language for good and language for bad. This could mean that in the prompt you could say, qualify this lead as good if they have posted in the last 30 days on LinkedIn, or have over 500 employees, or are in this industry, or are X, Y, and Z. And on the other hand, you might say, qualify this lead as bad if they have not posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days, and they are in real estate, and they have less than 100 employees, and so on and so forth. And if you want to keep things very certain, because you're only giving AI 2 options, you can add a third bucket, an unsure bucket. Now, this third bucket will work really well if you have a lot of leads coming in, meaning that you have a really high volume of leads coming in at any given day, that you would need to separate the leads that are unsure to be sent to a specific person for them to evaluate that. If you don't have a lot of leads come in, or if you have the same volume that we discussed in the beginning of 12 leads per day, for example, you could just instruct the AI to qualify leads that they are unsure as good leads. So if any of the criteria doesn't meet, you can say, AI, qualify as a good lead and explain the reason why. That means that automatically those leads will get sent over to your sales team, and whenever the AI is unsure, it will say yes instead of maybe. Now, if you have thousands of leads coming in per day, first of all, congratulations, you're killing it. Second of all, you probably have someone who is, their sole job is to qualify these leads that are coming in. And because of that, you can pretty much take those leads and send it straight to that person so they can do some further qualification. Maybe this is a setter or someone else in your team, in your marketing team, or any other team for that matter. So when you start tracking these 2 numbers, that's when you go from confidently guessing if your AI is helping or hurting to reliably knowing that your AI is leading you in the right direction. And that's exactly when AI saves you time, closes you more deals, and helps you scale without adding more people. Now, this is a point that is kind of hard to get to, because it can take a lot of time to build a system like this and actually analyze this process, or a lot of time to even understand how this process works. So if you don't want to do this yourself, feel free to book a call with me in the first link in the description below, and we will talk completely for free. I also do free AI audits to understand exactly where the pain points in your business lie, where the bottlenecks are, to see what type of systems you might need to implement right away. And if you still are curious on how to get AI to do research on your inbound leads, just go ahead and click on this video right over here. And if you want to learn how to scrape Google Maps to sell to local businesses, go ahead and click on that video over there. And feel free to reach out to me, like I said before, on the first link on the description below. You can shoot me an email, you can book a call, and we can start a conversation from there. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.